community panel, of which some are here today. Give me a cheer. Thank you. And Paul now joins the list alongside Anne Lister, Oscar Wilde, My Beautiful Laundrette, the Campaign for Homosexual Equality, Beautiful Thing, London Lighthouse, the Black Lesbian and Gay Centre, Jackie Forster, and the Section 28 Resistant Demos. Not a bad lineup, I'm sure you'd agree. I remember being in that DJ booth in the late noughties, early tens, having read Still Standing, so being the DJ here at the RBT, and really feeling the sense of connection to our history. And I knew that one day we would mark Vicky Mansions somehow, but I hadn't quite worked out how we'd do it. And I'm just so pleased that we've finally been able to do this in Paul's honour. I know how special Vicky Mansions was. I know how special Vicky Mansions was to Paul, and it has to be said, the residents feel very proud to know he was one of them and that the plaque has gone up. In fact, as we were installing the plaque yesterday, a chap walked past, smiled, tapped me on the shoulder and went, "About fucking time." And putting up a plaque may seem like a simple idea, but this has been 4 years in the making. And in preparation for this, myself, Councillor Holland and Councillor Costa knocked on every door in Vicky Mansions to ask for their support. And I think it speaks for Paul's legacy that not one person objected. And we received so many emails of support from residents, some of whom lived there at the same time he did and are here with us today. And one of the people who currently lives there now wrote to me to say that they still have a cheque written for Paul that they found under their carpet from the RBT, but I didn't ask how they acquired it or what the amount was. But the favourite door that I knocked on was on the resident who now lives where Paul lived. And when I said to him, who used to live there, and our proposal, coincidentally, this guy was a broad Scouse as well. He turned to me and said, "Is that why the fucking flat was such a shithole when I moved in?" No comment. So with that, I'm going to say a couple of thank yous before I move on to Andre and Stephen to say a few words. This would not have been possible without Lambeth Council, who in 2025 funded £10,000 towards the Rainbow Plaque project to help oversee 2 plaques in this series, and the funding will also help develop the project as we move into our next phase. I'd also like to thank the Lambeth Council's LGBT staff group, who actually paid for this plaque. So Tristan, Abby, Raoul, Ruth, who are here today. Who I first met in 2022 and said, "Oh look, I've got this idea," and you stuck with me all this time. Thank you very much. To Andy Marshall, who helped oversee installation free of charge. Tim Fairhurst of planning, free of charge. And again, Councillor Holland, for your ongoing support to the project since 2021. I'd like to thank Ian Howley from LGBT Hero, who are the current grant partner, who's helped me to deliver this phase of the project. I know she'll help me to say it, but I will always say it. To Laura Harford, who has been my collaborator on this project from the word go from Studio Voltaire. You're an amazing ally, and I love working with you. Thank you. Thank you to the Rainbow Plaque panel, who helped oversee the development of this project over the last so many years, and will continue to do so as we aim to develop into our own organisation. I'd like to thank James, John, Dave of the RBT for being our host today, Elaine on the spread and the drinks. But the biggest thanks must go to Andre, Joan and Stephen for their guidance and delivery of this plaque. And I really just want to end by saying a thank you to the wonderful drag acts and the community of this day, as this plaque is not just a celebration of Paul, but the work over this time on the scene too. So for those that aren't with us today, Dave Lynn, David Dale, Betty Legg, Sandra, Lola, Rose, and to our absent friends who can't be with us, we really wanted to give you an afternoon to remember today, and you being with us makes us that extra special too. So from me to you, thank you very much.
First, I would like to thank David and the Rainbow Plaque for this. When he first contacted me, it was so nice to realize that Paul was being remembered at a grassroots level. It was here that he learned to his craft, to become a national treasure. It was here also that he made friends for life. And it was here also that he was part of a community that he fought tooth and nail to the end of his life. So it feels very fitting that he is remembered at Lambeth, very near RVT. So I would like to thank Steve and Joan for supporting the project as well. And I would like to raise a glass. One and only. All of Rainbow. For not only his humor and his talent, but also for his legacy, which was advocating for the minority, for animal welfare, children welfare, performing arts and everything else. So cheers to Paul, and thank you all for coming and supporting today. I'm sure you have much more tales than I do. I wasn't born. That note, all thanks to Steve, who
Wow. That's so fucking rude. I can see why Paul married you. Thank you. Hello, I'm Stephen, otherwise known as Lola Lasagna. Andre asked me to say a few words this evening today, and I'm sure there are other queens who could do much better than I, but as they never turned up, let's start. I first met Paul when I was about 18 years old. I met him at the Tuberose in Clapham. I used to be the coat check boy there, then I was a bar person, and aspirations to become a drag queen. And when the governors, Philip, Kevin and Pam, weren't there when they were on holiday, because they knew I wanted to be a drag queen, they made me introduce the acts, and that's where I first met Paul. I would introduce Lily Savage onto the stage on a Thursday night at the Tuberose back in the early 90s, and then I didn't know that I would be working on stages, such as here at the Vauxhall Tavern, with Lily, and become friends with Paul over the years. And I think all I really want to do is say thank you to Paul and to Lily. Synonymous with this area, particularly the Vauxhall Tavern, but particularly Vauxhall, because Vicky Mansions was just such a huge part of Lily's life. The outrageous stories that he would sit on stage and talk about on Thursday for Stars of the Future, if any of you remember that. Yeah, tell me about it. And also, Andre said, maybe you could tell a few, stories about Lily and Paul. And I thought, oh yeah, okay. I mean, maybe there's that time that Paul came to the Black Cat when it was Regina and I's birthday, and I said, no, maybe not that one. Okay, moving on. Maybe there was that time on one of his big book launches when Katrina and I were outside with a herbal... No, not that one, maybe. So, moving on. But I do remember a couple of stories. One is that Regina and I crashed the main stage of London Pride in 1994, and Lily was hosting. Boy George was the main headline act, and we ended up being backing vocalists with Boy George. And there's a photo. In those days, I was a lip sync act, and people think I still should be. But in those days, I used to shut up, Danny. We've not opened yet. But in those days, I used to wear white hair as well. And I remember Paul Savage coming up, and everybody knows we used to call Paul Savage all the time. Coming up to me with this photo going, how dare you look like my bunty? And that is one of my treasured possessions ever, that photo. Me side by side, it's just brilliant. And then in 1992, a fantastic queen called Sandra passed away, and she was the queen that we all wanted to be. She did everybody's hair, makeup, she made everybody a dress. Every drag queen, even the ones we hated, had a dress. had a dress because for Sandra, it was money. And so she would make us all dresses, and when she passed away, she said to Savage, she said, I want a proper Irish wake at the tavern. It had to be here, but I want a proper Irish wake. So it turned out after the funeral, and I think it was the first time we ever went to Golders Green Crematorium, not knowing that it would be home to many drag queens throughout the years as it went on. We ended up in here, and there were two queens around about there, knocking 7 piles of shite out of each other, having an argument about who was Sandra Hush's best mate. Regina and I were under a table because we drank too much vodka. And Savage was sat on the table with a pint of cider in one hand and a cigarette in the other hand, and looking up at heavens and going, you got your wish, Hush, you got your wish. So I, on behalf of every queen who came after Paul and after Lily, who learnt our craft, because Lily was the bar that we were aimed for, Paul was also the person we all wanted to be as well. I started my career on this stage, and after tonight I've probably ended it, but I owe so much to Paul. It's a pleasure to be here. So as well as Sandra, I'd like to raise a toast as well to Miss Lily Savage and Mr. Paul O'Grady. And now I know he would be looking at us going, oh, for fuck's sake, stop talking and get on with your bevying. Thank you very much. So come on, let's get the ale down to Paul.
And just to say, there is a free bar, but there is a cap, so you better be quick. Over to you, Miss Cross. Thanks very much, everybody.